Hi guys, Tracy here with a layout using the It's My Life kit from Scraptastic. I had been using the Lost in My Mind kit for the last several layouts, so I'm just coming back to the It's My Life, and I'm having a look at the pattern papers as well as the backgrounds that might coordinate with the two 4x6 photos that I have picked out for this layout. And this is actually my second attempt at this layout. I meant to include the first footage of me trying to do this layout, but I accidentally deleted it. I do like to include even when the scrapbooking doesn't really go anywhere, just so that you have a sense of what the process is and kind of get a sense that, you know, we all go through the same kind of challenges. The first time around, I knew I wanted to use these papers. I had these same papers picked out, but I really didn't get very far at all. I was kind of moved the photos around and kind of was doing what I'm doing here, and I didn't even get to the point of cutting the paper before I just kind of gave up on it, which I don't do very often. So here I am on a fresh day. It's been maybe 2 weeks, and I have a few more ideas flowing this time about what I want to do with these photos. So this bokeh paper here is from My Mind's Eye from the Now and Then collection, and I just sort of matted the photos on that paper so that there's a bit of space around them for me to put some embellishments. And one thing that I did on the first session that you didn't see is I made that iPhone embellishment. I'm going to redo that embellishment because it didn't come out quite as well as nice as I wanted due to the ink pad that I use. It just wasn't juicy enough, so it's a little bit blotchy, and also it's not quite where I want it to be. So I'll show you that process when I make that one all over again. So I just cut that paper, which is from Bella Boulevard. I had to cut the manufacturer strip off of it first. I love how bright and colorful that paper is with those stripes. And so that's going to run all the way across the bottom, and then the two 4x6 photos are just going to go kind of overlapping like that. You already saw me glue them down. And now I'm thinking about how I'm going to use this Sudoku paper. And thank you to one of my viewers who pointed out that it's Sudoku paper, not bingo paper, which I called it when when I did my kit share. So I had to turn off my video lights for a few minutes while I lined up. In order for the light to work on my trimmer, I have to turn off my overhead light. And so I'm just going to trim this down, and I want this to run the whole length of the bottom of the layout, and it's just not, it doesn't have enough weight to it. It's not holding its own with all the other large colorful elements that are going to be on the page. So I'm going to go back to that paper and cut a wider strip like that, and I'm just going to trim it down so it looks more interrupted. So there we go, and that holds up a little bit more, and it's just a bit more substantial against that colorful striped background. I am going to outline all of the major elements on this layout, but I forgot to do that before I started gluing things down, and so I will have to go back and outline afterwards, which you can certainly do. It's just I try to take my time a little bit more when I'm doing it that way so that I don't go off the edges and mess up my background paper. So I'm trimming off the overhang, and I'm really liking how this is turning out. It's already much more fun than the last time I played with these pictures. So what I did was I had a screen cap of the geocaching software that I use, and I just printed it up at the dimensions that are the inside of that stamp. I think if I remember correctly, it was printed at 1 by 1.75. And once I stamped it, I realized that the way that my printer printed it, it was too close to the edge. So I reprinted it so it was in the middle, and that way the top of my stamp won't be hanging off the edge of the paper. And I took my time, and it didn't, for some reason the ink didn't transfer off of the stamp and onto the paper, and I think that's because I actually just left it on too long. It stuck more to the stamp than to the paper, and this is photo paper that I'm using, and so photo paper acts a little bit different than regular paper, so you have to be patient and be willing and ready to do trials when you're stamping onto photos or photo paper. So that's what happened there. And so when I restamped it, it came out much better, but still a little bit blotchy. So I am going to fix it up, and I'll show you that in a minute. So I'm using the broad end of my Zig Writer, which I don't use all that often, but I do like to use it for more of a bold outlined look. And I really like it when I have a lot of very busy, bold pattern papers all together, because if I were to do regular outlines on that striped paper, the outlining wouldn't stand out very much. Like you would almost lose the fact that it was outlined. So using a bolder tip really helps with the outlining on the striped paper. Now I'm going to really quickly show you the difference between the stamped images that I had from the original time that I was scrapbooking and today. And my camera got turned off, so you didn't see me do this, but I actually had to go back with marker and fill in some of the details where the stamp didn't stamp quite clearly. And so, yeah, I'm sorry that you didn't get to see that, but I just went with my marker and colored over all of the white spots. And then your marker does result in a slightly different surface, especially on photo paper. So because photo paper is so shiny and the marker shines differently than the ink does. So once I filled in the spots with my marker, I had to go back and go over the whole thing with my marker, or it was going to reflect differently off the light. And so you can see under my video lights that it was colored in with marker, but you actually can't see it that well in real life. Like you see how while I'm outlining over here and doing my journaling, you can see that little part of the stamped cell phone, and you can see the marker lines on it. Just from where the reflection of the light is picking up on it. In real life, you don't see those marks at all, only if you really kind of move it around a lot and look for it. So it does look okay in real life. It doesn't look that great here on video, but it does look okay. And you'll see it in the photos at the end that it looks okay that way. And that's just something to keep in mind when you're touching up stamps with markers, is that markers, especially on a glossy surface, it's not such a big deal on paper where everything soaks into the paper, but on photo paper, because it's glossy, you need to be careful when you're touching it up. So while I was saying all that, I went ahead and did my journaling on that little October afternoon cutout. And I used a blue pen just because I just wanted something a little bit different. There was a lot of black going on, and I also used my roller date stamp to stamp the date in red. And now I'm just thinking about how I'm going to embellish this. I need to have that geotag on there because it's all about geocaching. So I definitely want to use the geotag wood veneer, and then I have the It's My Life wood veneer on there too. While I was kind of moving things around on my table, I noticed that the manufacturer's strip had this really cute little Family Forever picture, and it's just the logo for the paper line, and it was really cute. So I decided to cut it out and cut a little fishtail into it and make it into a little banner. And now I'm going to take the October Afternoon. What I have in this little blue bin is October Afternoon, Ellie Studio, and the Ormolu, all three brands of die cuts that came with the kit. I just threw them all into one little bin, and so that's what you see me using here, is a combination of all of those things. And I'm just going through every single die cut that came in the kit, and there are a lot. And I zoomed in here so you can see the layers and the way that I'm embellishing it in a bit more detail, but you can't see that I am going through each and every one of the embellishments. The ones that I might use, I'm putting up in the blank space on the cardstock of the layout, and then the ones that I'm sure I won't use, I'm putting back into the blue bin. So I'm going to layer that details die cut right behind. Thought about putting that circle there, but then I decided not to. And just pulling out any arrows that I have so that I can point them at the cache itself. And I knew I needed something else down there, so I just took out the happy times, grabbing a few more of those die cuts to go through. And I just kind of took my time and went through them one by one by one. Any ones that were pink I got rid of right away because I wanted red to be the main color on this layout other than pink. She does have pink in her jacket, especially in the sleeve there, but I'm just ignoring that. I want all of the things that I add to the layout to be red instead of pink. So I have three little banners up at the top there. That's the way I want it to be. I'm going to add to that plain blue one with some typing from my typewriter. I feel like I need something else over on that journaling spot. I'll find it eventually, but I haven't found it yet. So you see I'm floating all of those possible ones up there in kind of like the plain part of my layout. And then the ones I know I won't use, I'm just popping them right back into the blue bin. So I'm taking anything that might be an interesting shape or one of the colors that I want to use, and that's what I ended up with as my pool of potentials. And I decided right away that I wanted to layer two labels over here behind the My Life and Geotag, just to bring a bit more interest over there, and also to make it so that those distracting lines from the Bella Boulevard paper aren't the thing that's behind that die cut, because I want it to be more readable than it was when the lines were behind it. I'm not going to ink it. I thought about inking the My Life die cut or wood veneer, but I decided not to. I was thinking about filling in that little space there, but I decided to just leave it. So I'm happy with how that corner looks and how the other corner looks. So now I just have to outline everything. So I'm going to start over in this corner and outline the three flags. I'm going to position that one because I know where I want it now that I know what elements are going above it. I'm putting adhesive, plain adhesive on one end and then a foam dot on the other end so that the banners have a bit of lift to them. And then the last one I'm going to outline, and then I'm going to have to head over to my typewriter. So that one's going to go right there. And now I'm just looking for something I can bring with me. I'm going to bring that one, and I put geocache and geocaching because I was pretty sure that geocaching was going to be too long of a word to fit on that arrow. I was wrong though, it does fit. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my tiny attacher to attach that. I really didn't like the two staples there, so I'm gonna pull one out, and I don't even care that there's two little holes where the staples used to be. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm just gluing it in place. Sorry that some of that happened off camera. I did have to use a little bit of adhesive to get the brown piece to stick to the arrow. And so there it is, all fixed. And then I am putting the details in place, but then I decided I would do some outlining. So I had to pull it out. The adhesive is still on it, so that's why you see I put another separate piece of paper on there just in case it got stuck. I didn't want to have to tear apart my little ingredient form. So I finally found an embellishment to go on the edge of the journaling piece, and that's this little snap die cut from October Afternoon. I think it looks really cute there. I just had to put a foam dot underneath of it so it stays standing up a little bit. I'm going to glue the right here, which I thought was perfect. I pointed it right at the cache, and we had been looking for it, and it was really fun to find it. It was our first time geocaching, so it was my first experience finding a cache. We went looking for three. We went looking for one, and we couldn't find it, so then we decided to look for another one. We found that one, and then we were feeling so confident we thought, oh, let's go get another one, and we couldn't find the third one. So there's a lot of snow in our area, and so they could have been buried. So it's possible that if we go back in the springtime, we might be able to find it. So I inked, I'm sorry that you didn't see it on screen again, but I did ink that wood veneer geotag in real red ink from Stampin' Up, and then I just wiped it quite a lot with a piece of paper towel just to, that keeps my hands clean, and it also just helps the wood grain come out a little bit. It sinks the ink into the wood veneer and takes off any extra and helps it to be wood grain looking. So you can tell that it was made out of wood. So now I'm going to outline the elements that go down here at the bottom of my photos. So I did each of the corners, and now I am doing the bottom. So this green tag is from, I'm pretty sure it's from Ellie's Studio. It could be, actually, I think it might be from October Afternoon. But the check it out is from Ellie's Studio, and all of these arrows are from October Afternoon. Oh, this is where I went to get a drink of water and forgot to turn off the camera. Sorry. So here I am back and outlining the yellow arrow. I'm going to put words on these arrows as well so they don't look so plain, but I'm going to stick them down to my layout first. So there we go, that's where those are going to go. And then I kind of have to know where check it out is going to go before I can put the arrows, because it's sort of saying check it out and then pointing to stuff. So I'm going to, oh, I am going to put the arrows down first. Oh my goodness, I don't know if you guys can hear the screaming upstairs. My kids are playing a video game. I might have said that already. I had to start and stop this recording a couple of times. So there's the check it out. And then the green embellishment is going to go right below it. It says happy times, happy times. And I did bend it just to give it kind of, it had a little chunk taken out of it. I went to my typewriter and typed up some words that say found it, yeah, and I forget what the other one. Found it, got it, and yeah. And I just found a similar die cut that had the same color background on it as the other typewritten word. And I'm using my Zig two-way glue pen, and this one has a marker tip, a chisel marker tip point. You can get them with ball points and different thicknesses of tips. They're very handy to have. Ooh, sorry, I showed you a close-up super fast there. So now I'm thinking about putting a little cluster up in the top corner. So I did do some outlining off screen again. Sorry, I was kind of starting and stopping and kept forgetting to turn the camera back on. So I've missed a couple of the details in this process video. It's part of doing videos with my kids around. So sorry about that. I'm just using the letter stickers that came in the kit. I think every single thing on this kit is from on this layout is from the kit, so I love it when I can do that. It means that the kit really does have everything we need to do a layout. So the Geo is from the package of thickers that came in the kit, and then the caching is from the October Afternoon smaller letter stickers that came in the kit. And that set came with two different fonts. It comes with this kind of cursive writing type of font, and then it also comes with a tile font, and I'm going to use the tile font too. At this point, I think that my title is just going to be geocaching, and so I'm putting it here, and I'm not going to like it. There's two problems with putting the title here. First of all, it's hard to figure out how to line it up, because I've got like a straight horizontal line or a level horizontal line above it, but then I have an off level line below it, which is the photo, which is the photos are purposely put askew, and it's just really hard to line up a title when it's between things that are in two different angles. It will always look off. It will always look crooked no matter how straight you try to make it. And then if you try to make it purposely wonky, then you start to have too many wonky elements all together. I don't know if that makes a whole lot of sense, but for me, it's not the look that I'm going for on this layout. So I did that, and I'm not happy with it, and I'm thinking about, gee, what am I going to do? Am I going to leave it anyways? Because I do often leave things anyways. But I've decided I'm going to do something that I don't always do, which is line my title up right along the edge of the paper. And I think in one of my most recent videos, I actually commented on how I don't do this very often, that I like them to be just a little bit on the paper as opposed to being on the edge, like I'm doing right here. And so this is kind of one of those exceptions to that preference that I have, and there's no rules, right? So that's just my own preference, and I don't typically make a title like this, but I am today, so so that just goes to prove there are no rules. Even your own preferences, you don't have to always stick with them. it's fun sometimes to try something different and see how it works. So by floating this title up on that ledge of the paper, which lots and lots of people do, and it looks great, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just I usually drop it down a little bit lower. I just prefer that look. But by keeping it up here, what I've done is I've left room for a subtitle. So while I'm doing this top corner embellishment, I'm thinking, what on earth am I going to do with that title? Because it looks kind of floaty there, because it has a big hunk of paper that doesn't have much going on it. So I've decided, hey, that's a great spot to put a subtitle or kind of continuation of the title. So I'm going to put on the rails to trails as the rest of my title, and I'm just spelling it out with the tile letter stickers that coordinate with the cursive ones. I was going to put rails to trails in the blue that also came in the kit, but I decided that would be too busy. So sorry that the stickers are somewhat off the screen as I put them on, but I'm just spelling out rails to and then trails. And then I'm going to stick this title, or the rest of this title, right underneath the main words of the title, the geocaching. So, and putting it on wax paper first allows me to figure out how the spacing is going to go and where I want to put it compared to that G that hangs down, the tail of the G. And I decided to make the title go right up to the G, and then that'll be the breaking point. So I worked backwards, and then I'll put trails underneath of the G and stick the word to in there. There you go. So that's what my title looks like. Sorry, that was really moving around a lot. So I'm just cutting off the little edge that's hanging off the edge there, and I'm going to embellish with a couple of enamel dots. Enamel dots are nice because they do allow you to add a little bit of shiny dimension. This layout has a lot of paper elements, and so the enamel dots just give it a little something else. So you can see how in the light that iPhone embellishment looks a little funny, but once it's not so much in the light, it looks okay. So now the one thing I'm going to do at this point is add an arrow, because Geo is just kind of standing out a little bit too much. So I added the red arrow right above the right here, and that just I think finishes it off perfectly. I really love the addition of the arrow. So thanks so much for hanging around for another layout with me. I will probably get another one layout out of this kit, but that probably won't happen until the weekend now. So in the meantime, you guys all have a really great scrappy week.